Yeah. Taoiseach, following on actually on the same issue, the despised Tories have been driven out of power by the British government, but there's a great fear I have, and I think many people in England have, is that the more things change, the more things will stay exactly the same with Sir Keir Starmer. I find it grimly amusing that the leader of a supposedly left-wing party is called Sir Keir Starmer, but it tells you a lot, I suspect, about where his agenda is going to lie, and it's not going to be a particularly radical one. But I think we do need to address the issue of the issues like the Dublin Monaghan bombings and the refusal of the British authorities to actually open the books on the information they have about almost certain British collusion in those bombings, and indeed more general collusion with loyalist paramilitaries who carried out atrocities. But our ability to put that to Keir Starmer is going to be severely limited if we're guilty of the same cover-up. And I would ask, as I have asked several times since the 50th anniversary of the Dublin Monaghan bombings, the worst single atrocity that took place during the period of the Troubles, undoubtedly carried out by agents working for the British state with loyalist paramilitaries, but where the Irish authorities have very serious questions to answer and have still not released the papers on a whole range of things. For example, why the families of the victims were put under surveillance, Operation Newham not giving the Garda apparently not giving the stuff they have to Operation Newham that is looking into this. We have no credibility asking Keir Starmer about these things unless we open the files.
I'm sure Christian talked to me. But let me double check that, not that I'm aware of. Look, a couple of very important issues here. To Deputy Smith, I want to thank you for the point that you've made here today and have made on a number of occasions about the importance of the opportunity for Ireland and Britain to engage at a senior level. And look, I've already, in my initial conversation with Prime Minister Starmer, had this conversation about the importance of getting the structure for engagement right, for the very reasons that you say. It used to happen almost automatically. That whoever the Irish Taoiseach was would meet whoever the British Prime Minister was by virtue of our membership of the European Union. You'd meet at European Councils, you'd meet at other events around that membership of the European Union. That stopped. And now I think we either need to find another mechanism, or indeed, as you suggest, how the mechanisms that are already in place, north, south, east, west, under the Good Friday Agreement can be harnessed. Whether that's the British-Irish Council, with senior attendance, whether it's the point you make about senior individuals in the British government attending the British-Irish Parliamentary Association. It's not for me to be prescriptive, but I certainly believe that if Prime Minister Starmer and myself can come to an understanding as to how that structured engagement looks like, I genuinely believe so much good will flow from that. Because we all know, and we're all in politics, we all know that challenge emerges from a lack of dialogue, and issues can become much more entrenched if there aren't formats to talk person to person, counterpart to counterpart. And I really appreciate the fact that Prime Minister Starmer phoned me on his first day in office, that has invited me to Downing Street next week, and I take that as a really good signal of his commitment to that moment of reset in Anglo-Irish relations that I believe we need. On the issue of legacy, and a number of people have mentioned legacy, I mean, the Irish government's position is clear. I think it's a position shared across this House. The Legacy Act is not something we obviously support in any manner or means. We found ourselves having to launch an interstate case. Not much that unites all political parties in Northern Ireland. This has. So I will want to talk to the British Prime Minister about legacy. I'm sure he'll want to talk to us about that as well. He has made commitments in his party's manifesto that I welcome. So I won't be prescriptive again because I want to have that dialogue, Deputy O'Murca, directly with the Prime Minister. But there are some principles I suppose the Irish government would have. Firstly, it has to be victim-centred. Secondly, the Northern Ireland Executive and the parties of Northern Ireland need to have a role. It has to be compliant with the Good Friday Agreement and the processes of the Good Friday Agreement. And of course, it has to be human rights compliant as well. In relation to Dublin Monaghan bombing and the issue that both Deputy O'Murca and I think Deputy Boyd Barrett specifically raised, and indeed Deputy Smith. I was honoured on the 17th of May to attend a commemorative event to mark the 50th anniversary of the Dublin Monaghan bombing and to have the opportunity to meet some of the families of victims and survivors. It is important to recall in this House that the investigation into the Dublin Monaghan bombings remains an open case. Just one moment, if you don't mind, in this jurisdiction. Gardaí have been assisting the authorities in Northern Ireland in their investigations, and legislation was passed to enable cross-border cooperation with Operation Denton. I understand that the Taoiseach has recently received correspondence, but the fact is the Gardaí are continuing to work with the Police Ombudsman as it proceeds with its wide-ranging work. Now, I don't know who I'll engage with my officials on how best to do that. And on migration policy, I think we have to make sure the common travel area is protected from any abuses, and I think that's the mechanism through which to explore.